So the greatest disease of human existence is belief. You can believe whatever you want. Doesn't matter what you want to believe, you can believe it. It's your truth. It is what you believe. And, you can argue and complain and shout and scream and whatever it is that you want to do and demand that what you believe is true, but of course, whatever is true is actually true, and you can't do anything about truth. It is what it is, and that's all that it is, and you don't have the option to make it something else. It is true is what is true, and that is all. But of course, as with COVID, people lie, people cheat, people tamper with the evidence, they manipulate you, and they tempt you, and so on. And they create all kinds of delusions rather than allowing truth to say whatever truth is. And that is the problem with humanity. So you want to be herds as well. I want. That's what a herd is. An animal herd simply wants what it wants. It wants, grazing ground, it wants water, it wants, space, whatever it wants is what it wants. And that is, of course, what most humans are. They want what they want, and that's all that they want, and they don't want anything but what they want. And, of course, that doesn't make for society and doesn't make for life. It doesn't make for anything other than being an animal. Being a human alive means that you have understood that life itself is a miracle. It is a miracle. You can't build a human body. It doesn't matter what you claim. Your participation in sex to create a new life isn't building a human body. You have nothing to do with it other than igniting the key or whatever it is you want to say, key and a lock and what have you. Doesn't matter. You don't build a human body, and if you even have half a brain, if you had the thimbleful, if you had a mosquito's brain, literally, if you had the size of a mosquito's brain, you'd know that life is a miracle. The planet is a miracle too. A living earth, which means it can die. So the end result of that is that we need to look at religion as well, because religion allows you to believe whatever you want to believe so that they can get the money. So that you can be, part of a group that's bigger and bigger and bigger because we want what we want and that's all that we want, and so if we have what we want, then we're happy. But of course that doesn't make it true, it just makes it religion. And of course that's exactly what the universities do. We want what we want, and we create some kind of illusion for gossip. Basically, it's, I found a grain of sand on the beach, therefore I know everything about the beach. Well, no, you don't. You just have one grain of sand. And that's, of course, what people do to each other. They judge each other. And judgment is the death of you and them in one form or another. It's a form of hate. And if you don't recognize that, then, of course, you're going to fall into hate, and then you fall into the abyss of all the things that you want to judge, and then everything falls apart because you judge everyone. And you can't judge everyone because you don't know what everyone is, or you don't know what everyone does. And even if you do a little bit, that's not enough to know what the real truth of the matter is. So religion will give you some rules so that you don't judge as much. That's what religion does. It provides some basis of life is about more than you judging somebody else. Life is about the realities, or the miracles of who we are and what we are and how we got here and what happens when we die and things like that. But of course, religion doesn't create a big fan base when they're just playing by the rules, so to speak, when they're just letting truth decide, because people want more than that. They want to say, I know, like the university is, which makes them a cult. And when the leader can come up with an idea and their crowd doesn't question them, they're cults. And that's, of course, what the universities do. And it makes life so simple. All I have to do is believe in what I'm told to believe in, and it's not my fault. Then I can do whatever I want to. They just tell me that go ahead and do whatever you want to, and that's okay. Or not do whatever you want to. Whatever it is that your cult is, doesn't matter. So the end result is that while religion does have some value, because it has, over the thousands of years, cultivated some of the weeds out of what human behavior is, and given you some rules to go by so that you could, at least give it another try, the end result is that, it's not going to identify what is absolutely true. And what is true forms the basis of life. You can't build anything without truth. You can't build anything without thought. Can't build anything without force. And so these things, these three, are elemental to life and to eternity and to everything. You have to have force, you have to have truth, you have to have thought. They're for three very different things, actually. So we need to understand what is true. And what is true is what is, realistically, I can depend upon this. This is the law. If I do this, this is the consequence of that. Or the consequence of this points to the truth of that. Or whatever it is that you can identify as consistent or common or the reality of life, which is called common sense. And that's, of course, why the university destroyed it. Can't be common sense in a university. It's not allowed because they want control over everything. And you can't have control over everything. Common sense dictates what you believe. And, of course, that, they want to be God, so they play God. So they deny anything that, even remotely removes them from playing God. And, of course, that's what media is for, is to enforce they are God. You have to have, you cannot believe anything else. Believe, fear, obey the university. That's the plan. Believe it or not, doesn't matter. What is true, and that's all that matters. So people complain that your math must be wrong. Whenever I tell them, some kind of evidence that, can be proven true or false. And the end result is that it doesn't matter if I'm a little bit off on the math or not. Doesn't matter. That's not going to kill us. Math, numbers are not going to kill us. The reality of what numbers do are going to kill us. And of course, the reality of numbers in currency is that you're just asking for war, which will kill us. Because all the numbers point to they stole it. You sacrificed your life and somebody else stole it. And so on and so on and so on. Unfortunately, life is not as simple as yes I know, or yes I can, or no I can't, or no you can't, or whatever it is. Life is more than that. And you have to accept the fact that you aren't God. You are not God. Imagine that. You cannot judge somebody else and declare them this or that or the other thing because you are not God. You can declare if you mass murderers go into a school or something and shoot everybody and are found with a gun in the hand and everybody knows this is, the truth of the situation, they played God. Well, there you know. That would be a consequence that you can identify as real. And it's hate, and hate, of course, needs to be simply thrown away. So what we have to do here is look at religion honestly, look at what you believe honestly, and you have to do that on your own, because I don't know what you believe. You could tell me what you believe, but what do you actually believe on the inside? Men do not understand women because women are not going to tell them, because that is their hiding place from what men do, and that's a whole nother thing. But you need to know what you actually know to be true. Not believe. You actually have to know what you know to be true. And I'm always told you for 50 years or whatever it is that you have to investigate for yourself and prove what is true. You have to decide the laws that you're going to live by for yourself, because that's what you're going to live by, and you're not going to live by rules or laws that I make for you. You're going to live by laws that you agree with that you make. So we have to have, as far as an organization of women or something that goes, you have to create the laws that society can work with. You have to create the laws that society can decide for themselves that this is something that we can or will do, or at least will try. Men have had thousands of years of time to try and have failed. They got us this far, but their reality of let's choose war, let's just take theirs, let's just move to their place, no longer fits. So we have to have a completely different solution. And of course, women are completely different. They are far more different than you think. They're far more different than I ever considered to be true. They are different. So and that is what we need, different. So the point is, or the point of letting women, an organization of women that is fighting for life in the world, decide, use whatever money could be generated by inventions or what have you. That's about creating laws so that you can find for yourself the solution that you need to stop you from being extinct, to stop life on Earth from being extinct. And that, of course, requires all kinds of what you would consider to be sacrifice, which means that you don't get to have whatever it is you want. That means that you have to let truth decide what it is that you can have. That means that instead of driving and 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 driving some more, as is the solution of the universities in the past, which the interstates certainly prove, instead of that you have to block everything back together, more or less like it was back 1,000 years ago. We are going to be isolated in this one little area, and this is where we're going to live, and we're going to have to take care of ourselves, and we're going to have to take care of our environment, and we're going to have to allow for this and that and the other thing, because this is where we live, and this is the only place we get to live. And however big you think that might be, that would be another issue of its own. So you need to you need to establish what can and cannot be for a future for life on Earth, or more correctly, what can and cannot be for humanity on Earth, because we eat life. If we don't eat life, we die. You can't just eat rocks. You're not going to do that. You can't just not eat something. You have to do that. You can't live without water. You can't live without the oxygen we need to breathe in the air at a certain percentage. And you have to stop believing in this stupid ass failure of university knows, the complete disgrace of university knows, and do something better. And that doesn't mean that if you have a diploma you're stupid or smart or whatever it is. It doesn't mean anything. What the evidence will prove true is what the evidence will prove true, and that's that. You have to live within the limits and the boundaries of what you can and cannot do. You have to accept the fact that if we do not know what the right thing is, then we have to do the least we can until we do know what the right thing is. You can't just make up your mind to do something. Whatever you want, because whatever you want is almost always wrong, almost always bad. You have to be better than that, or the world dies. The ocean life is dying because you threw poisons and pollutions and overfished it and just everything. It's going to die. All the life there that you depend upon for food is going to die. You need to give them a break. And you need to do that, you're going to have to, you seem to have genetically altered corn, for instance, as a commodity that could be used for that. You can't create ethanol anymore. It just won't work. And you have to use that corn to replace the food you get out of the ocean so that you can, in fact, have a chance to let it rebuild the life. But you have to feed the ocean today. You have to stop wrecking their environment. You have to do what you have to do to keep them alive, or you're going to starve. You're going to starve. You're going to war for water. you're going to use weapons of mass destruction because they're there, and it's billions of people. Kill a billion, and that's just 1 out of every 8. 1 out of every 8 killed a billion people. 1 out of every 8, and it's actually less than that. So you can't survive. There is nothing about the way that life has been led that can survive. There is nothing about that will survive. And you want to survive, because if you don't want to survive, you can just go ahead and commit suicide. Don't do that. Not for, don't lose hope. But if you find a way to be more than just an idiot that lives under the influence of the cult of University Satan.